This is why we need Jesus. This is why everybody needs to accept Jesus. And the only way to God is through Christ. It's through Jesus. Jesus is the way, the only way to God. In John 4:31 to 34, he says, in the meanwhile, his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, Hath any man brought him aught to eat? Jesus said unto them, My meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work. Finish the work of God. So, Jesus came to finish God's work. And what is there to finish? Because God created man righteous. Because of the devil, man fell. So Christ needed to come to finish that work, to bring us back to what God has originally created, to bring creation back to what God intended, to God's will. That is why we need Christ, to come back to to God's original plan, to God's original creation, which is what? Man as a righteous being, just like the angels. So you see this theology, this is why I say the theology of the Christian theology, the theology of the church, is not of God. Because this idea that, we are, the fallen state of man, man cannot be righteous, this is impossible, no one can be righteous, only Jesus. That is a lie from the pits of hell. That's Satan's doctrine. That's not God's doctrine. God created man righteous. It's Satan just telling us that we cannot be. And when you come into agreement with that, then that's why a lot of people are struggling. They are struggling because they don't believe they can be righteous. So when you don't believe that you can, then it's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. You will struggle. We need to come to the understanding that man is a righteous being. Yes, we are in a fallen state, but through Christ, through the blood of Christ that takes away our sin, brings us back to the righteousness that God have created. We then can have a relationship with God, which will lead us into what? Eternity with God.